What's up with the what's ups, everybody? Today on this episode of Man Motorcycles, we're back in Amarillo here at Chopper Works with all the parts ready to put it back together. It's nighttime, it's about 8 o'clock, and this is what we got going on. So we already started on painting the cylinders. And then look at these pretty mother brothers. They came in a night all. Nice package. And this is what it is. Unwrapped. Not much for unopenings, but there it is. And then, and over here are the new pistons. Wise code. So pretty you don't even want to put them in. So this is the monster we're going to get prepped and ready to go. As soon as everything's dry and ready, we'll be back in action. Alright, so we're getting this ready. So if y'all are needing any machine work on your top ends for your shovel heads or Sportsters, or what all does Les do on the machining for the motors?
Anything, and I'll tell you what, if y'all want to get in really super involved stuff, Les knows about building what's called a quench chamber and a shovel head, which gives you more compression and more fire and more horsepower. But Les does any kind of machine work you need done. He's familiar with triumphs, shovel heads, pan heads, knuckle heads. I mean, he's the guy. All right, come over here, AJ. We'll put some wristbands in. Boy, aren't those pretty.
Some inside candy.
Man, Wise Code, they got this shit going on, man. They know their job. Look, I mean, how can you cover that up with a cylinder? I need some clear shit so we can see this.
Oh, I know.
All right, so get your assembly lube, which is, there's all kinds, but I use this Ultra Slick Permatex. Assembly lube works for about anything you want to put together. That shit's slick. Get some lube on your freaking wristbands. Set your pistons over here.
Those went nice and easier than they came out.
Yeah, it's like they're supposed to go, man. So here's the wristband for the other side. Some pistons have a right or a left, or you know, you got to make sure. So always look under them, check them out. Man, these are pretty. I'm a Wise Code piston fan.
Nice.
Ain't that pure sex?
Yeah.
Wise Code pistons, so pretty you hate to cover them up. I'll get these old gaskets off there that we used when we were painting cases. Always use chromatic gaskets, always. Cannot stress that enough. A lot of people tell you James gaskets. A lot of people say this, say that, but chromatic gaskets are really expensive, but they're well worth the money.
And actually found a good deal on eBay on both the pistons and the top end gasket kit.
So what the top end gasket kit costs, usually about, they're right around $100.
Yep.
For Comedic, you can do a James for about $38. But the other extra money, I promise you, is well worth the dough.
And here's what is all in it.
Basically, got your head gaskets, which these are the best in the industry by far. Got some intake gaskets, rocker box gaskets, exhaust gaskets, all your push tube gaskets. You've got your lifter block gaskets and your exhaust gaskets. Nice little set. Go back and build these old motors. I mean, very seriously, don't skimp on the money. Don't buy cheap shit.
Yeah.
I mean, these motors are already 40, 50 goddamn years old. So, you know, if you want to rebuild one, do it with the best shit there is.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford to do that, you don't need to own one of them.
There you go.
Now, you can find your cylinder base gaskets in there. You've got 2 of them. We can slide them on there over your pistons. And anytime you rebuild one of these, like I said, you might have a little bit of left and right slack on your rods. But as long as you don't have any up and down on your rods, you don't have to worry about the bottom end of this bike.
Sweet.
Most of these old shovel heads, I mean, very few of them will have 30,000 miles on them. Most of them are been ridden 10,000 and been parked for 40 years, you know. So find your gaskets and go wherever they go.
Do they have a, no, there's no left?
No, there's, let me see what you got here. That one goes like that. That one goes like that.
Cool.
And as you can see, them chromatic gaskets are not much prettier than one of the, they're like the pistons, you know, I mean. Just, and they're metal, like I said, they're not a fabric gasket, they're a metal gasket. So don't be afraid to spend the extra money and buy the good shit.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, I mean, I don't give a shit if it's a bike you're fucking riding for yourself or a bike you're built or selling or whatever. Always have quality in your work and, you know, be known to use, yeah, he uses the best shit, but don't be afraid to charge them for that shit either because, you know, quality costs money.
Heck yeah.
You can probably go ahead and open these up. Take the big cork gaskets, are going to go right here. You can drop your lifters back in here. You'll have 2 different sizes of those cork gaskets. I've already looked at your push rod, so I know if they use the O-rings or the corks.
No lube assembly or nothing?
No, not on the cork gaskets. No, not when you put them in. Should be 4 big ones and 6 little, or 4 big ones and 8 little ones.
Is that one? Yep.
But the way you know, because some shovel heads are different, you take these push rod tubes right here, and you know whether you use the O-rings or the corks, all right? The newer style push rods and newer push rods that you'll buy aftermarket will have a little collar right here on them. And if they have that collar on them, you can only use the O-ring. If they're flat like this, which is the original factory push tubes, always use the cork gaskets. But there's a whole set of both of them in here.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, if you do not have a shoulder right here on this and the shoulder up here on the top, always just use the cork gasket. If you do have the shoulder, you've got to use the little O-ring gaskets. Like I said, you'll see there's a little dot right there. That's the oiler. That always goes to the inside.
To the middle part here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one on the outside, the other one will go inside also. inside. See the dot? To the inside.
And those don't have a left and right also?
No.
Cool.
And you see, it's got the oil feed right there and right there.
Cool.
Make sure that shit is always lined up. A little bit of assembly lube wouldn't hurt it at all. Main thing, you know, these bikes all bullshit aside, cleanliness is next to godliness. Keep all your surfaces clean, keep all your shit clean. Don't be afraid to lube everything. I do have a put your lifter, your rollers in there, tappets, I guess you'd say. There you go, man. Perfect. Order on the inside. Okay. I think you're good, brother. There's your socket for that.
Nice.
Now, get your hydraulic lifters out of there. Should have 4. And remember how I showed you how to bleed them off?
I'm just gonna push straight into it.
Yeah, we're going to take a little piece of mechanics wire. Cannot have too much of mechanics wire hanging around your shop, man. So you're going to push that little deal in, that bleeder. See how I push in on this and it bleeds the oil out of it. Next one. And this is what we're going to do once we get them all bled. When we start adjusting the push rods, this is where we'll go to that 18 flat.
Cool.
On the hydraulic. And there's a lot of guys that are, you know, they like the hydraulics. I don't like them because they're a pain in the ass to fucking get adjusted. But, you know, once you get them adjusted, you don't have to really fuck with them after that. You can just put a little bit of assembly lube on just right around these barrels. And put one in each one there. Wow, pull that down. Other rings, you'll find they've got a little dot on them, and the dot always has to go up. And you'll figure this out one day when you put it all together and fire it up, and all at once you got one cylinder smoking. And you're going, man, did I make sure that ring's in the right way up?
And
so
that's
then
just,
you got to tear it back down, and you pull the rings off, you go, son of a bitch.
so it'll smoke because the oil's already passing
Yeah,
it.
it's passing through up into the combustion chamber. And a lot of times it could be a ring upside down. So let me get these open. We'll put the rings in on. As you can see, this will show you where they go. This is number 3 in this side, and number 2, number 1. Okay? So as you open these up, number 3, the very bottom. This is your oiler. Now these are the ones that'll either have a dot on them. These are Hastings rings, so they probably won't have a dot on them. But if they got a dot, the dot's got to go to the top.
Okay.
Hastings rings can kind of go either way.
So when
You
there's a
got two.
bottom and wood, oh.
And that's your oiler right there. So what you want to do, and you want to be very gentle with these, and you just start them in, and it'll go right in the bottom of that oiler. Let's see. Are we on the top all the way around?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this next one will go in the bottom. One on top of this, one on the bottom of that.
Okay.
Just be gentle with them and work the way where they're supposed to go. Okay, so you got a solid, you got your oiler, you got another solid. Okay? That's these right there.
Okay.
Now we're gonna move up to number 2.
Well, it's just a
Same
simple-
thing. You see a dot, the dot will go upside, but there ain't no dot on a set of Hastings rings.
Okay.
And it'll go right here in this group. Like I said, you just want to kind of be gentle and work them around. Don't go to forcing shit. I mean, I've actually had one of these rings break when I was installing it.
Right.
And then I got to wait a week or 2 weeks to get another set of rings shipped. See what you got here? Then I've got a ring compressor over here that we'll use. We'll compress these rings, and we'll slide the cylinders down on top of them.
Cool.
No dot. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This will be the last one. Just kind of work your way around them. And like I said, the last thing you want to do is get to forcing anything. Patience goes a long way in this shit. Okay. Okay, this set of rings is installed. And the oiler will go all the way here to the bottom. like I said, always just for good fucking measure, check each one of them rings and go, all right, so there's no up or down on them.
Okay.
Now this one we really would like to go all the way past your oiler here and go on this side of it. Now if it does go on the other side of it, no big deal.
Okay, so go for the far end first.
Yeah, you want to go like right there, and then just use your finger and push it around as you go.
Sweet.
Right, and you ought to be able to, I mean, it should turn. See where the gap is right here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, always kind of feel it with your fingers and make sure we don't have it crossed over anywhere. Now the next ring you'll put on will go on this side of that oiler.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of work your thumb around it or your fingers around it and just be very gentle with it and let it pop right on in there. Make sure everything spins, even the rings you put in, they should turn too. The gap should change as you rotate it.
Cool.
All right, now go up to number 2, then number 1. Kind of push your finger right there and work your way around. Make sure you go over to the second ring. You can twist it or whatever, you're not in the groove yet somewhere. There you are. Perfect.
Oh no.
Numero uno.
There she is.
All right, now these motherfuckers here. These are your piston ring, your wrist pin. Ah, perfect. All right, you see that groove right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's where this seat is going to go. So if you can hold that light for me right there, let me see what I'm doing, because I'm an old blind fat man. I'm going to try to push this end in first. This is a little tool to do this shit. You just have to have it. You can't do this shit with your fingers. All right, you want to set that cylinder, I believe, it was just like you got it. You want to start it on top of that piston. You want to kind of push down on it. At the same time, I want to kind of bump it with your hand. Bump it, bump it. You're doing fine. There you go. Now you're talking. Keep going. Wait, hang on a minute. Let's get that piston back up a little bit.
Oh crap.
Okay, keep doing it. Keep doing what you were doing. Keep doing it. This is my author again. See him off the ring. Pick your cylinder back up. All the way off. See, I've got to compress the top ring and the like that, I believe. What? Huh?
It's trying to come out this side. There you go.
Rubber mallet at? Motherfucker on there. Huh? What are you laughing about, AJ?
Bingo!